Okay. Hey, great. Hey, everybody. It's Rob. This is for a weekly BSP University call. So I am recording. Got a special call for you today for at least the first 10 or 15 minutes. Might go a little bit longer depending on how much time Joel and Julie have, and if you guys want to open it up to any questions. But if it's just 10 or 15 or 5 or 10 or whatever, that's great. But Joel and Julie are on with us. They have a fantastic business called the Performance Group. And I'll let them share a little bit about their business in just the next couple of minutes. But we were having a conversation last week about their business and specifically how they've used their book to do some cool things, build trust, and really grow their consulting business by, I think if the numbers were right, by a couple $100,000 using their book last year and then building a referral network. So I am going to kind of turn it over to you guys. I don't have a specific, kind of Q&A at this point. But what I'd love if you guys could maybe show everybody your book, and then you guys can kind of begin sharing a little bit about the journey and how you've used your book. There it is. Show us the title, by the way. Pull it all the way up there. Good. Rewired all the way to the top. There we go. Awesome book. And great job with it, by the way.
Thank you.
Turn it over to you guys. Why don't you guys just begin in any way that you want to talk about, specifically remembering that everybody on the call is, part of BSP University, and is looking
Right.
at ways to use their book to grow their business. So
Yeah.
thank you, by the way, very, very much for being on and being willing to share your stuff. So take it away.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Rob. So as a company, we usually get invited into companies between $5 million and $100 million.
Tell us, by the way, like what you do. I didn't mention it. I kind of left it to you. So tell us about the Performance Group and what you do and who you are and all that stuff, please.
Yeah. So we compete in 4 areas, primarily conflict resolution. So we get invited into companies and we solve problems, and normally with executives. And along the way, we'll do some informal inventories and assessments to get an idea of the culture of the company, the style of leadership, the conflict management style, and really get to know not just the leaders, but the managers and the employers. And so by the time we finish solving the conflict, we really know the company. And now we're talking about and planting seeds about how to shift culture so that they can be more collaborative, better quality of life, how to develop people that necessarily can't promote or get more money. And so we begin to plant those seeds and we sell those services. We do some emotional intelligence. And then at the end of that, we go back into the leadership suite and we talk about an influential leadership model. So those are the 4 pillars that we compete in corporately. Now, the 5th thing that Julie and I have developed is this concept of an experiential learning immersion, and we call it the Rewired Experience, which is named after the book. And it harmonizes all of these best practices of, how do you create an accelerated learning experience for someone so that you can shift their thinking and help them achieve a desired outcome in a very concentrated, small amount of time. And we've had some wild success with the Rewired Experience. And in fact, just had a couple here from the East Coast that had a fantastic experience with us. And so that's the fun part of the company. Not that the 4 pillars and the other pieces are not fun, but so the weekend immersions, though, are really this very dynamic, out-of-the-box thing. We take people to the racetrack. We take people down these very aggressive mountain bike trails, paddleboarding, all these fun things to get people to shift their thinking, get a little bit out of what they would normally think is their comfort zone, and adopt some new ways and perceptions to address limiting beliefs and drive a different outcome. So that's essentially what we do in a global sense. I'm going to let Julie, she's chomping at the bit. She wants to now tell you, she's going to tell you now what we really do. So I'll turn it over to Julie.
Well, you're getting paid to go mountain biking with people. That's what I've heard so far.
Hey.
So Julie will probably tell us, how in the world have you used your book to get people to give you money to go mountain biking?
Yeah, well, the essence of our company, Rob, is really to bring people out of conflict and into contribution. That's what Joel described as the pillars or the steps to that. But that's our ultimate goal and our motto. Is to do that. And so when we essentially started our business, which was 2013, 2013 June, we started launching this business trying to figure out how to, create an audience in that time, because we had switched careers. We had transitioned radically from one career to another.
Right.
It makes sense when we tell you the whole story, and certainly in the book we go through it's very autobiographical. So by all means, anybody that wants to read it can find out more about how we transitioned. But the essence of it is that when we transitioned out of one career to another, we had no real network. We had no case studies. We had no credence in terms of an authority in the space that we're now in. And so where the book came into play was that being able to write the book and then share it with those that are in high level positions, our target audience, if you will, gave us immediate credibility and a trust factor that we wouldn't have been able to have based on our resume, because we didn't have it in the transition.
Right.
So as I've learned, there's no faster way to become an authority than to teach.
Right.
And, you can spend tons getting your MBA or tons doing all sorts of other things. But honestly, being able to write a book puts you in a position of teaching and puts you in a position of authority, which gives people an ability to trust you and opens so many doors.
Love that. Love that. We were talking, what led to this, we were talking, I don't know, a week or 10 days ago or however long ago. And it was, you were telling me about, kind of the first big whale really you landed using your book, CEO of a $100 million company that led to, a massive contract. And then it led to this incredible referral network. Could you share some of the details of that?
Yeah, it's actually a great story. I think it's very confidence and faith building, because a lot of times great things come from some unusual, unlikely, or even casual sources. But I mean, I friended a friend that Julie had reached out to on Facebook and wound up immediately setting up a cup of coffee 2 weeks later. We both love motorcycles. We both race motorcycles, which is another little fun thing that I do on the side. And he was just very humble and unassuming. Turned out his company was worth $100 million. He is and was, still is, the CEO of the company. And we began a very quick conversation about, the potential of some of the challenges that he was having at one of his other branches up north. And at that time, of course, I had the book with me. And of course, I had said, I think we could absolutely come up with several options to work together. Why don't you read even just the first 4 or 5 chapters of the book and get a feel for, kind of my approach and how I think and how I problem solve. But I think it's really a great fit. And so from that one cup of coffee was a very high dollar conflict resolution experience. And then the COO, who actually works up in the Santa Barbara area, we began and still are in. I think it's a 14-month coaching commitment that's only getting better every month. But, the testimony to how things work and certainly the testimony of the book opening up this doors from that one handoff. There has been 3 other companies, 4 other managers, 80 employees, and several $100,000 worth of income, because it all started with the CEO. And as to Julie's point, I think we have a great resume, but without a contemporary social footprint and a lot of social media interaction, the book is just a fast track opportunity to get people to immediately know this is who you are, this is what you think. And certainly when it has a bestseller endorsement, you don't have to really force anything. You don't have to come across like you're really hard selling anything or anyone, because the book really does, speak for itself.
I love that. I love that. So let me, here's what I'm hearing. And we can even open it up. If anybody has any questions, you can type them in the chat box.
Yeah.
But obviously someone that runs a $100 million company is willing to sit down on various occasions and have a cup of coffee, but not necessarily sign a 6-figure contract to go mountain biking or conflict resolution, because of a casual conversation with a cool guy. Right. There has to be like a real layer of trust, and authority that's built with a person like that for them to kind of hand the keys to their kingdom over to you.
True.
Yeah.
That's in essence what they were doing, right?
True. And 2 quick fun stories. One is the uniqueness of being an author and a best-selling author is also landing a speaking engagement with a 270-year-old company. It's been around since way back when.
Did you say 270-year-old company?
I'm sorry,
No.
$270 million company.
Okay,
sorry
that's
about
better.
that. It's been around. It's been around though for 120 years.
Yeah.
It's been around since the early 1900s. But anyway, got an invitation. The book had, of course, opened the door to that invitation to speak to the national sales force, about 90 people. And, the fun part of that, and also the credibility part of that, is the night before I'm showing up to the hotel. It's in Orange County, California. And the doors of the elevator open, and, the first comment is, "Hey, you're the author. You're the speaker tomorrow." And it was one of those kind of rock star moments, which, at least I know, you don't know this moment, Rob, but when you in that moment, you're a rock star, but then you get in the car and the rock star status kind of wears away.
Yeah.
But, for that moment, it's that energy when you walk into a room, and also people are bringing books up to you to sign, which I've never been put in that position.
Yeah.
And so that's a great story. And then the second real great story is last week meeting with a gentleman in his mid-50s who's a successful practicing attorney, but he was an actor for a very long time in a very well-known television series that is a lot, big time series. And I want to keep this confidential, but we had a 2-hour talk that was supposed to be a 45-minute talk.
Wow.
And when he said to me, "What, Joel, do you think is the next best step?" I said, "Why don't you read my book and identify 3 things that you feel really resonate with you? And we'll get back together next week and we'll build something on what really has meaning based on what you felt the connection was in the book." And so I feel like that moment made up for another 6 talks. It just all this time that would have taken for him to really get to know me and to build the trust. And so, those 2 stories are just part of the world that you begin to circulate in when you have a book, and specifically a best-selling book.
Oh, dude, I love that. Thank you for sharing that, even about the actor that you just met with. I know part of the conversation that we had was what other ways can you use the book systematically? And so I'm glad to hear that you actually did some of what we talked about. I did. I know these things seem simple, right? I mean, obviously it's a complicated process in one sense to invest the time, invest the money, invest the resources to getting a book done. But then it's very easy to kind of leave it on the shelf and forget about it. We have to systematically use our books to it works. It's magic. I mean, it right now your book is working on this individual in ways that you could never do yourself, because you can't, in humility, talk about how great you are at helping people. But you can imply all of that by him reading your best-selling book and having this eye-opening experience with you not even being there. Yeah. Of course, you had to physically hand it to him, right? I mean, you had to.
I had to actually reach across the table and stretch my arms.
I mean, this is work. That
was hard. I probably burned 3 calories doing that. It was hard, though. It was hard.
Well, don't exaggerate. But but congratulations. And obviously, just to recount it, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. And look, let's never take away what you guys have done. You guys have done all of this. You made the relationship. You got the referrals. You created magic in this CEO's company. Obviously, all of this was done by you. But there is an element of trust and credibility that if you don't have, you never get the opportunity to work your magic. You just never get it. Yeah. And so the more you can use your book in the ways you've already done it, the more of these kinds of doors that will open. And so I would suggest, in the 3 new companies that have been since referred to you through these relationships, that you find ways to put your book, continually in their hands, and even recommend it as a gift. Hey, I've sent you 3, so you can give a couple of these away to your friends. They make great gifts. So
that's great.
That's fantastic, though. Congratulations. Love the story. And by the way, what Joel didn't say, but Joel and Julie actually referred me. I think you're talking about Prudential, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you referred me to speak to Prudential,
right.
Which, I mean, $5,000 for a 60-minute speech is not a sharp stick in the eye.
That
No.
too.
So I thank you. I'm grateful. Jerry is a great guy, super connected with him. And so I'm looking forward to doing the speaking engagement. But
yeah,
at the kind of authority that you have created in his world to where you can say, hey, there's this guy, Rob, runs a publishing company, but maybe he'll speak. And one conversation with Jerry, and he sends me a check and engages me. So that's because of what you've built there. So congratulations. I love
you. Yeah. Rob, could I share one more thought that might have meaning and relevance? And this is to your audience. I don't know how big, and I don't know if this is going to appeal to or connect with a lot of you, but maybe some of you are in a position where, you've got a great idea and you've started a company, and as you're probably experiencing, the front end, and the statistics. My wife used to just be like, please don't tell me the statistic any longer of how many companies go out of business.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Oh gosh,
please, no more.
Gosh, but with the combination of determination and altruism and trying to see the world for its best, you develop relationships and you start to spend money, and you start to go down rabbit holes in building, a team of people that you think are really going to help you. And at least it was our experience that you meet a lot of great people and they really want to do the right thing. But sometimes the timing and the business cycle is such where you really don't need them at that time. And we wound up, really generating a large debt on the way to building a successful company. And not unlike most entrepreneurs, that's just part of the game. But obviously, hindsight being 2020, if I could have written the book on the front end of the business development piece and actually had the book as I was building out the other features, it would have changed the game. And so for any of you that are in that position where you've got a great idea, your business model seems solid, you've got a decent social footprint, you may have a small team, and it's not doing what it needs to do. Again, speaking in the first person, I would have loved to have done this, 2.5 years ago. It would have put us in a much different place. And we're in a great place now.
Yeah.
But of course, you always wish for maximum impact. And so just a closing thought there.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Obviously, the BSP University is all of my paying clients. So they're going down that path, but I do appreciate that, because that's important to be said for people that for one reason or another get caught up on the next shiny object or the next thing that rather than, just complete the project, build the most incredible credibility and trust building source, which is your book. Yeah. And then everything else can follow from there. So, so thank you guys. You guys are amazing. You're good friends. You're talented people. So, really honored to have you as a part of the BSP family.
Well, it's great to be here, Rob. And we would love to offer, did you have
I just wanted to share one quick thing.
Okay.
Because I also run a separate program, and I've had some women, even though it seems like it's a very man-centered book, the fact that it's a bestseller kind of crosses a lot of, genres there. And I've had women that are now a part of my group call me because I've been reading your husband's book. I've been reading your book. I feel compelled to talk to you. Can we talk? And now they're my paying clients too. Wow. So, and I do think, one thing I wanted to say is that I think the book allows us to charge prices that we wouldn't ordinarily. The other thing is that we would not be able to charge without a long resume. The book kind of catapulted us up in terms of our fees.
Yes.
And it's not only trustworthy, so they'll open the door to us, but it also allows us to charge more because of our accomplishments, if you will, in terms of being the best-selling author. So those were two things because some people ask me, wow, how did you get to being several $100,000 really in your first, because our book came out July 2016, right? Or July
2015.
2015. Okay, yeah. So then we did our promo, how you do it, what is it, a month or whatever it is, right?
The launch. Mm-hmm.
Right, the launch. And then it took off it was really September, October, November. Yeah, so then this first big contract came in November of that same year. Yeah. So, you have that little cycle, that pitch cycle that is your ramp up. And then, but the truth is we wouldn't have been able to even ask for $10,000 for 1 month for one client at that time if we didn't have this in our back pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. I mean, that's a nice gutsy fee.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. One month of consulting, $10,000. Beautiful.
For one client. Yeah.
Exactly. A lot of people wouldn't charge $10,000 for a whole year.
Right.
Of consulting. And so, I mean, it took guts for you to do that, but you're right. You had the credibility and now you've grown a business that's, doing phenomenal. So congratulations. It's just the sky is the limit.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
We really feel like I'm very humbled by having these conversations with you now, because I'm like, wow, imagine if we actually really had to get when we get our system in place to use our book, in a better way.
And it doesn't need to be complicated. I mean, I think, for you guys, and obviously I want to open it up for questions in just a few minutes to me, or even, I don't know if you guys can stay on. You've already been on past the time you said you could be, but the systems need to be as simple as possible so they can be repeated.
Right.
And I think for you guys, what is powerful is obviously connecting with individuals and the right individuals that will then lead you into their network. And so you have a spider web, if you will, of individuals that you've already been growing. So I would first and foremost try to find a way systematically to continue to put the book into their hands and into their networks.
Yeah.
So even as an example, I messaged you this morning, Julie, asking you, for your Create Space information, because I'm ordering a bunch of books. So I'm in a big CEO network here in Pasadena, just recent. I mean, I haven't been in a network meeting in forever, and I'm not doing it for business. I'm really doing it because I want to connect with great people in Pasadena. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm bringing copies of my clients' books to these CEOs. We meet one time a month. So there are like 20 of them. And these guys, I mean, some of them are really, really connected and high-powered dudes and dudettes. And I'm just going to, bring a new, 20 different copies of a new client's book to give it to them. Hopefully that it will lead something for my clients, but also because I'm putting my work, if you will, in front of them on a regular basis. So there may be opportunities. You need to think a little outside the box, not for you to go to a networking group, but there may be opportunities where these guys network and where you can say, do you ever, have a CEO network or group? Would you like to bring gifts to them? If you would, I'll ship you 20 books and you bring 20 copies of my book as a gift to your CEO buddies. Yeah. I mean, now you're doing something for them. So you got to think outside the box a little bit, but you can do that systematically. The other thing that you can do systematically, Amy likes to do that. So there you go, Amy.
Yeah.
You can think in terms of, how can I connect with these individual people that are across, say, the world or certainly the United States by just, getting a list of the top 100 influencers that I would like to connect with, and then sending your book to them as an introduction with something handwritten to them, and then following that up with a telephone call, like a virtual cup of coffee, kind of like what you did with the other, with the CEO, even though it was face-to-face, which is better. And something like that you're doing systematically, I think you will absolutely make connections that way. Yeah. Because you're not asking for anything. You're not asking to be a speaker. You're not asking for consulting. You're just making a connection. And you make a connection and you'll find out what the problems are in their life and their business. And then automatically the book, the trust, the friendship leads to the deal and big deals. So anyway, those are just some thoughts for you guys, but obviously for everybody on the line as well. And systematically you send 2 or 3 books out every single week to this list of 100 influencers, basically. Right. You just got to put that list together.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That makes sense.
You are welcome. So thank you. Do you guys need to drop off or?
We have a couple minutes. Yeah, we'll handle a couple if there's anything there. Yeah.
Let's see if there are any questions. There are a couple questions about launches and things like that. Are there any questions specifically for Joel and Julie here? I see Brenda saying, was this a new direction as a different career, or were you already in leadership executive development space prior to the book? And how long did it take you to go from concept to finished product, book launching? And then after book launching, how long before your first contract? That's a lot. I can reread it again if you like.
That's okay. So concept to book launch was probably about 8.5, 9 months. Mm-hmm. I would say within 3 months we converted, which was really exciting in terms of our first client and made our first big splash. In terms of her first, I think it's Brenda, her first question about the transition. So my background coming out of graduate school was in clinical physiology. I was working with cardiac patients. And my next job coming out of that hospital was an administrative one. I had way too much energy to be administrator. I went into the military. And really, it was in the military as an officer that I began to really understand and refine my, approach to leadership and developing other people. In aerospace as an aerospace physiologist. Those two experiences laid a phenomenal groundwork for a very unlikely calling into the Christian ministry, specifically working with conflict resolution internally within families and married couples, which then laid the groundwork for the intricacies of how to help partnerships. And so, when I look at my thread, I call it my golden thread going from backward, from present time to backward, all those careers prepared me uniquely and perfectly to launch the Performance Group, because it's a consummation of best practices of 25 years of leadership and development. So it was very easy for me to make the adjustment into the company. And then obviously the book just was the perfect icing on the cake to consummate all the other learnings.
But to answer Brenda's question directly, we were not in executive coaching prior to that. It was ministry. So they're entirely two different networks.
Well, Brenda might be laughing because, Brenda is very involved in Christian ministry herself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was in the corporate world and is
right.
After transition out of the corporate world. I obviously know her story because she's, one of our good clients. But Brenda, they're actually, I think, a great example of, obviously the CEO of a $100 million company isn't necessarily going to be hiring somebody that is a Christian minister to help with conflict resolution in their company, right? So the book laid the groundwork for the credibility and the trust outside of, but obviously all that you did from, your career prior to the military, 17 years in Christian ministry prepared you amazingly to do the work, whether he knew it or not, that he needed for his business. So I love that.
Thank you.
I think that answers Brenda's question completely. And by the way, that is a great question, Brenda. Very, very, very specific and good. If you have a follow-up question to that or something else, then go ahead and type it in the chat box. Let's see. Francisca, I live in Toronto. I have a list of media contacts for radio and TV from the USA. Do you have Canadian media contacts? We don't. Francisco, we focus on U.S. media for the most part. Perhaps we could find some Canadian media contacts because we use Cision, which is a $5,000 software that we use and license that gives us list information on all kinds of media. That's something that I could look into for you. I'll make a note of that. Any other questions for Joel and Julie? And if not, then I'll just start answering some of these other ones that you have regarding book launches. Brenda is saying, wow, what a relevant testimony. That is so synergistic to my story. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Blessings to you. Great future success. I may seek you out to bend your ear a bit more if that is okay. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, Brenda, we're all part of the BSP family. So, you find them, they're part of the Facebook group as well. Just if I could, very frankly, Julie knows what's going on. Joel is the face of the company. So, there it is right there. Look at those piercing blue eyes. Julie is not just prettier than Joel, but she really knows what's going on in the business. So
yes.
She may be the right person to speak to. So
feel free, Brenda, if you have any questions. We're happy, and I am more than happy to help you.
So obviously, just teasing. So beautiful. Any other questions for Joel and Julie? And thanks so much. You've already given like 30 minutes. And
Sure.
The things you're sharing are gold. I know that there's a lot of folks on that are just going, wow, this is exactly what we need to hear. And so thank you. Thank you for, giving the time and being willing to kind of share your experience. Really.
She's so cute.
Thank you. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Thank you, BSP family.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. I will go ahead and mute you guys now.
Perfect.
Okay.
We're going to jump off. Probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
We're going to jump.
All right. Guys, thanks so much. You're the best. See you later. Let's see what other questions we have, and I'll dive in and start answering some of the other questions. Let's see. Alice, you were asking, Amazon supports Ingram books now. What does that mean? And I'm getting ready for a first launch using a Kindle book, which is also on Ingram and Amazon. Will that work? So the launch program that we teach is primarily focused on Kindle, KDP specifically, Kindle Direct Publishing. So everything that we teach is going to be directed from that. Now, will that potentially lead to, people also checking you out on Ingram and various other things? It could. It's not what our focus is, because Amazon is so much bigger than any other publishing platform. So the focus is Amazon. It's a little like making Google the focus. And then, there's Bing and there's other search engines. But when you make Google the focus, when you make the big dog the focus, then everything else tends to fall into place. So yes, follow the steps for the launch, use the software, etc., and then everything else will fall into place for you. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, then do me a favor and just type in the chat box if there's another specific question about that. And Ginny is saying, I believe Ingram is a distributor, so that's good. Yeah, Ingram has a massive distribution network. And a lot of primarily physical book distribution, so bookstores and things of that nature. Ingram is always good to check out and be focused on. But when we do the launch, the focus is Amazon, because they have more internet traffic than any other publishing platform by a factor of 10. So they're the ones that you want to focus on for that. Alice, you're also asking, do you have a list for getting reviews and ads? Where is the easy button? So the easy button is being part of BSPU. But so as far as getting reviews, it's all in the BSP University membership area, and there's a lot of content there. By the way, let me say this. We've had several people over the last week or two call into our office, and because of where they're at specifically, in their launch process or with their book, they don't necessarily need to go through module 1, module 2, module 3. Like you, perhaps, Alice, you're looking for some really specific information and training. So here's what we're doing, which we probably should have already done. But when you build something like this, you learn along the way. So one of the things we're doing is we're creating a complete table of contents of everything and every training within the training of all of the modules. So when you want to, for example, just go to, the 2 minute and 30 seconds that I talk about getting reviews for your book, then it will tell you exactly what module and timestamp that you need to go to, so you don't have to watch hours of content to learn that. I hope to have that done in the next week, because we are having to go back through and really timestamp every single thing. And then we're going to make that available right as a table of contents. So the short answer to the question is, we have training on getting reviews. We have training on how to use the software and all of that. The easy button, quote unquote, is the software for the advertising. But remember, that has to follow the full launch process where, you're going to do a KDP promo launch. You're going to start getting reviews for your book, things like that. So my suggestion, you're kind of in the launch phase, it sounds like. My suggestion is to focus on module 3 right now. Look at module 3 and module 4 and focus on those two. I think the trainings, it will take you an hour or so to go through it, but look at the book launch module. So you might even want to jump ahead to module 4, but look at the book launch module, go through that, go through the trainings there, and that'll give you a really good basis for, what specifically you need some help and direction with. So does that make sense, Alice? Is that helpful? Good. Awesome. Thank you. So let's see. Brenda says, will do. And yes, Julie, I get it. I'll ask the lady in charge. That's exactly right. Ginny says, maybe an unusual question, but I have a published book in the primary area I want to do business, but I find I'm having to create a market. I have the beginnings of several other books, some in the same area and others in various areas. Would you recommend sticking with the area I want to build my business in and avoid publishing in the other areas until that's going? So short answer, Jenny, is yes. I would absolutely focus on the area that you want to build your business in and your reputation and your platform. Now, that's the short version of the answer. The longer version of the answer is, do you know for sure that people are buying stuff in that marketplace? I'm happy to unmute you and we can talk specifically about that if you like. But that is a very, very important part of the process because, you know, as they say, pioneers come back with arrows stuck in their back. So you don't want to be the pioneer of a brand new industry. What you really want to do is you want to enter an industry that has hungry buyers that are interested in what you can sell them. So let me unmute you. Hi, Jenny. Do you have a mic? Can you hear us?
Yeah. Hi, Rob. Can you hear me?
Got you. Fantastic. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Do you want to talk about your specific genre and go through that a little bit together, or?
Sure. I'm trying to change people's minds about how we raise young children because we're underestimating them and doing too much for them. And so by the time they're 3 years old, they've really been trained to be very passive and very bratty. So if I try to give something to parents of toddlers and 3-year-olds, they're interested in how I can quickly solve the difficulties they're having. But what I really want to do is help them start raising their children differently from the beginning so they're not training them to be passive and bratty.
Love that. I love that. I do think you have a bit of a two-step plan here.
Yeah.
You know, the initial pain is what people always want addressed.
Right.
So if they have a child that's throwing tantrums, or if they have a child that's, you know, just wildly disobedient, or whatever those issues are, that pain has to be addressed and solved.
Right.
So one of the things that we talk about a lot is in the writing process of the book is you want to get into the fears, frustrations, wants, and aspirations of your ideal client.
Yeah.
So, you know, for someone like that, and you know these better than me, but I'm just going to take a shot at it. But for someone like that, they have daily frustrations. You know, they're having a hard time getting the child to eat, or they're having a hard time, you know, potty training the child, or, you know, whatever. Then they have fears, and the fears are, you know, deeper rooted. Like, what kind of human being is this going to be? Right. And what kind of teenager, good Lord, is this going to be? Along with those, they have wants. The wants are the more day-to-day stuff. You know, I want my child to be obedient the first time. I want my child to be happy. I want my child to, you know, to be fulfilled. Then there's the aspirations. You know, I want my child to, you know, make a difference in this world. I want them to have a great marriage and a great family. So, you know, the first step you have to deal with is kind of the daily frustrations and problems. And when you do that, that will then lead to them seeing you as an expert and it going to the next level, if that makes sense. It's a little like Joel and Julie shared. You know, when Joel sat down for that first meeting, it was fairly casual, but it led to, okay, what are the big problems that you're facing? And those problems they went in and solved for $10,000 in a 1 month period. But what did that lead to? That led to the COO and the CEO of the company hiring them as an ongoing coach that now for 14 months, they're getting in and dealing with bigger things in both their life and their business.
Right.
So they solved the problem first and made some money. And then that led to the next step, which was the aspirational stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes. It leaves me with the problem that if they've already trained their children to be passive and bratty, now we have to solve that.
That's good, though. That's what you do.
Okay.
Right? If everybody had solved that problem, you wouldn't have a job. So
that's true.
So don't feel bad. You now have a lot of bratty and passive children that people need to pay you to fix.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no, don't feel bad about that. That's okay. That just means that there's a market for your thing. And yes, I mean you can make transformation in people, but it is going to, you first have to deal with the pain. And the pain is always the problem.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and mute you again, but thank you. That was awesome. A great question and good feedback there. Let's see what else we have. So, Michael, how are you, my friend? Michael says, my goal is to do speaking and coaching. Is it important to have my picture on the book with my goals? So, short version, Michael, anybody that is a coach or is branding themselves as the expert, I recommend to have your picture on the cover of the book. That's why if you notice Joel's picture is right, plastered on the cover. Now, I was actually going to suggest, I forgot to mention it because we got into other things, but I was actually going to suggest on this call that Joel, because Julie is actually using the book to attract clients into her business too, I was actually going to suggest that Joel and Julie's picture both be on the cover of their book. That's something that I think they should change, because even though Joel is primarily the author of the book, Julie's already using it to attract clients, so we should put her picture on it too. So short version, yes, Michael, you should absolutely have your picture on the book because it focuses on you as the one that is being promoted and is the credible expert. As far as your goals, I don't know what you mean by having your goals on the book too. I don't think that that's necessarily something that I've seen much of. I would focus more on it just branding you personally rather than your goals. Follow-up question, in the promote launch phase is where I do my media spots, East Coast, Mid Coast, West Coast, to get biggest impact. So yes and no. Michael is one of our done-for-you clients, so we're doing all of this for Michael, helping him write the book with our team, launching the book to bestseller, and then doing the PR. So Michael, the PR phase, which is what we call the profit phase, is actually the phase after the book is launched and made into an international bestseller. And the reason we do that as the last step is because having that credibility of being an international bestseller is what helps to get you on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, U.S. News and World Report, et cetera, et cetera. So we always want to have that credibility in place before you start doing your PR, and then you can have the physical book with you so that you can, right there, show everybody on TV or talk about it on your podcast or blog or that kind of thing. So, we're going to do it, but it's going to be right after your book launch. Hopefully that makes sense. Vanessa, hi, I'm a new bestseller. Hey, congrats, Vanessa. Can you talk about the to-dos on a physical launch and most important next steps? And I asked about the bestseller logo for the book. Last call I was on, I haven't received one yet. So the logos, Vanessa, are in the BSP membership area. All the logos that you can use are right in the membership area. I'm not 100% sure where in the membership area there are, but it might be in the formatting area. What I can do is I'll make a note and I'll have Steve, who's our graphic artist, post in the Facebook group where you can get the logo. But all the logos that we use are in the membership area for you. You said also I should have bestseller on the cover and description. Right. Yes, you should. You should absolutely notate that the book is a bestseller. You want to have that in the description. Now, your first question, I don't completely understand the to-dos on a physical launch. So what if your book's already been launched and made into a bestseller, what exactly do you mean by the to-dos of a physical launch? So if you like, I can unmute you and we can talk about that specifically. So there you are right there. Hi, Vanessa.
I'm just wondering, so I got to bestseller over the holidays.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. This program has been incredible, and I'm just so thrilled to be here. But I'm also feeling behind and like, okay, now that I'm a bestseller, what do I do? I need to, my son and I were sick the first 2 weeks. So I'm just like pulling my head up for air and like, okay, I need to do a physical launch. And in terms of doing a physical launch, I mean, just get up there and read a chapter of the book and market yourself, or is just any kind of inspiration or guidance, and also in terms of doing the press release, the timing in terms of doing a physical launch. Do I do a press release for it? Just a little bit of guidance on that, really.
So tell me a little bit about what is the book, And is it a nonfiction? Is it fiction?
It's nonfiction. It's called Sexy Magnetic You, and it's about healing yourself so we can heal the world.
Okay. And are you a coach or consultant to people? You
Yes.
have other programs that you sell?
Yeah, I'm a coach.
Fantastic. So really the launch that you're talking about, it shouldn't have anything to do with the book. What I tell my clients, and a lot of times this is where they have a hard time letting go and disengaging. Once you've done the book and once the book is a bestseller, it's no longer about the book now. Now it's about you. Now it's about you helping, using the book to attract people to you to grow your business and to grow your coaching. So the only kind of launch that you need to be thinking about is launching more of your presence and credibility and trust into the world. So how do you do that? The first step that I would do if I were you is exactly what we do for our Done For You clients. Once the book is launched and made into a bestseller, we now go for PR. So, we now, get our clients on podcasts and blogs and TV shows and radio and et cetera. So the next step for you, and really an ongoing step, should be to start looking to do some media as a best-selling author on this topic. Now, I can tell you that is a great topic. And in fact, let me see, Shirley was on this call earlier, and Shirley's actually going to be my guest in 2 or 3 weeks. Doesn't look like she's on the call anymore. But Shirley wrote a book called Healthy, Sexy You or something like that. And it's about being healthy and sexy after the age of 50. And she has gotten an incredible number of people interested in having her on TV and radio because it's a really hot topic. So your topic is similar, and it is also a really hot topic. So the first thing I would do, I would go through the media training. And I would start looking, okay, what do I want? Do I want some podcasts? Do I want some radio? Maybe I even want to do a media tour and get on some television, et cetera. But I would go through the media training so that you could take that next step. So this is about launching you. The second thing is, are you interested in doing speaking engagements? Is that something you do?
Yeah.
Great. So, and this may be too much all at once, and you may just want to choose one thing.
Give it to me. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So I would make a list of 100 great opportunities for you to speak at. And here's what a great opportunity is. It's a conference, it's an association, or it's a private organization, okay? It's not the Lions Club. Nothing wrong with the Lions Club. Nothing wrong with the Kiwanis Club. If you have an opportunity to speak there, speak there. But big opportunities are conferences, associations, private companies, because they're the ones that have big audiences. Sometimes they have big budgets to pay you, but ideally they have the right client for you to speak to. So make a list of 100. And if you can't, it might take you some time. So start with 20, start with 50, whatever. Do some discovery. Find who the person is who's in charge of booking speakers for that conference, who the person is who's in charge of booking education for that association, right? And then you're going to make that list, name, address, email address, contact information. You're going to go on Create Space and you're going to print 50 copies of your book for $150. You don't have to do it all at once. You can print 5 copies a week if you like. And you're going to send 1 copy out to each one of these people, say 2 or 3 a week. So every single week, you're going to send 2 or 3 out to that association president, that conference organizer, and you're gonna follow up. If you have a virtual assistant or an assistant, it's better to have your assistant do this, and it doesn't need to be expensive. You can get a virtual assistant to do this in 1 hour a week, but ideally you have the assistant call because you have the telephone number. Hi, Mrs. Jones. I'm Rob. I am Vanessa's assistant. And I'm just wanting to make sure that you got a copy of Vanessa's best-selling book to pass on to your boss. You did? Great. Did you get a chance to give it to your boss? You did. Fantastic. Listen, Vanessa's speaking schedule is booking up for the fall. And I know that you have a conference coming up, or I know that you want people to educate for your association. So I'm wondering, would you be interested in me booking a conversation with Vanessa and your boss sometime next week, just to have a 15-minute chat? You would. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and put that on the books right now. All you're doing is you're using your book to build that credibility and open the door for you to do your magic and get in there and dazzle them relationship-wise, and potentially get a speaking engagement. If you do this, not 1 week or 2 weeks, but if you do this consistently every single week, it's not expensive. 3 books will cost you $9. To ship 3 books will cost you an additional $1, $12. And then to have someone make the phone calls for you, $20. I mean, for less than $50, you can have this in place every single week where it's being done. And you will get phone calls with the top influencers in the areas that you want to speak or address. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, if you do this, it will work for you. It might take a month or 2 of doing it before it starts to roll. But when it starts to roll, it will pick up momentum and it will be amazing. Now, this is not about the physical book. This is about the physical you, right? This is about you getting what you want, which is really speaking. You want to sell your coaching. You have to sell 1,000 books compared to 1 coaching program. That's what you want to do, is get in front of people for that. So take your focus off the book. Now put your focus on using the book to get you in front of the right places, and start with PR and with speaking engagements. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great.
That's a lot. I know that's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot, but that's exactly what I needed. I just needed a direction. So that's perfect.
Now, you are faithful on these calls. We're always talking, which is great. I love that. I love that you've taken action and done this. I want to hear next week and the week after the progress you've made on this.
Okay, cool.
This is where the gold is. I mean, this is where Joel and Julie went from getting their book written and the book being a bestseller to getting their first $10,000 contract. And then that leading in the next year, that led to over $200,000 in income and more now, all within about a 3-month window. So the exact same thing can happen for you. This is where the magic happens, though.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for your question. Fantastic questions.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. I'll go ahead and mute you again, or go ahead and mute yourself if you wouldn't mind. And let's see what other questions we have. We have Malika. Malika says, can you post the membership URL? I can't seem to locate it and thought I had a bookmark. I can't, because I'd have to leave the presentation to find it, Malika. But if you do this, if you email the office, and I'll put the email address, email Rebecca at bestsellerpublishing.org, then she will get that out to you right away. So I put that in there. Oh, I put it in there just to you. Let me put it into everybody. Any problems or challenges that you're having with membership or anything else, then please contact us. We're a real company, 9 to 5 Pacific. We have a whole team here to help you. So whatever your challenges are, we want to help you with that. We want to help you to grow. So looks like Malika got it. Says, thank you. You are very welcome. And I put that to anybody that might have any challenges or issues or questions, then by all means, send them to Rebecca. Jackie, hi, Jackie. Jackie's asking a question. Was wondering if you had that specific names or contacts. Jackie, I asked, but I have not followed up with that. So let me just make a note. And if you would do me a favor, Jackie, and thank you for your patience. By the way, I'm super thankful that you're okay after your car accident. That was really scary what you posted. But do me a favor, just post in the Facebook book group and tag me in it for the PR contacts that you're looking for. And then that way I can put them right back in the Facebook group for not just you, but for everybody. So just post in the Facebook group, and then this way I can be reminded when you tag me personally, and I will get that out to you, or actually to everybody. So hopefully that's helpful. Wow, we've been going an hour already. I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to go ahead and call it unless you have something else that's super pressing. I think the first 20 or 30 minutes with Joel and Julie, I hope you guys love that. I hope you were inspired by that. We're talking about, people in a brand new business, in a brand new industry that have made several $100,000, all using their best-selling book to open the doors for these relationships. You can do the exact same thing as they've done. So Ann is asking something really quick. Is it different if you have a book and e-course that will be published by a publisher? I am mostly responsible for the marketing. Thank you. Glad to learn from you. My book and e-course will be released mid-March. So Ann, here's the best way I can answer that. If your publisher gives you access to your Amazon, KDP, and CreateSpace account, then you can simply do everything that we teach and go through all the launch modules yourself. If, on the other hand, some publishers will put your book in their publishing account and they maintain the control of your book, and they do that because they don't want another marketing company like mine or publisher like mine coming in and interfering, and so they keep the control of it even away from you. If they don't give you access, in other words, if your book is not in your own account, in your own name, with your own username and password, then you're going to have some problems because you're going to have to go through that publisher and they're going to have to do all of the steps for the launch, which guess what? They're not going to do. So as long as you have your book in your Amazon account and your book in your CreateSpace account personally, then no problem. You can do all of this on your own. If it is in the publisher's account, what I would recommend is you talk to them and you say, look, I want the book moved into my own account. I want my own personal account. I want control over pricing. I want control over the KDP promo launch. I want all of that, and see if they're willing to do that. But again, the whole idea of the publisher is supposed to be to facilitate, especially if you're the one that is responsible for the marketing. Hopefully it's already in your account and you can do all of that. So hopefully that makes sense to you. So Jackie says, thank you. Says, fantastic job today. Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Hopefully that was helpful. By the way, the next few weeks, what I've decided to do is like every other week, maybe even as much as every week, I'm going to bring in a guest from BSP that is doing something really incredible with their book so you guys can learn and you guys can imitate it. So I'm having Shirley come in, who's done some amazing things to get PR with her book. I'm having Amir, who is Amir is a doctor that also does real estate investing for doctors, and he's used his book in a very short period of time to raise $1 million for investment. I'm going to have him share how he's done it. So I have some really cool guests from the BSP family over the next few weeks that are going to talk about cool things that they've done. And yes, Malika, it's always on Tuesday, always at noon Pacific, always the same time, same bat channel for those of us that are old enough to remember what that is. So you are welcome. Lots of thank yous. Thank you for being with me today. You guys have an awesome week, and see you again next week. Talk soon. Bye.